Hi everyone, welcome back to the podcast. I don't know why in these videos I've started sitting so comfortably. I feel like it's more casual. I always sit like this, fun fact about me, even if I'm like not at a fancy restaurant, but if I'm at like somewhere casual, my leg is always up. I don't know why that is. There's something comforting to me about sitting like this. Anyway, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about making decisions and indecision, because this is something that honestly has fucking plagued me for. My friends and family will tell you that it's probably one of my more annoying traits is that I am an indecisive bitch. If I feel like, this is with big decisions and small decisions, that I don't know what it is with me, I just can't make up my fucking mind. But today we're going to be talking more about a bigger decision. It doesn't have to be a life-altering choice. I mean, you could argue every choice is a life-altering choice, but that's my issue, is that I overthink it too much, and it's like the sliding doors effect, the butterfly effect. I am so hyper aware that like every little choice changes what's gonna happen for me, and it freaks me out, and it kind of like, it can paralyze you a bit, you know. But we are going to be talking about making decisions, indecision. I feel like there are two main approaches that people take to making a decision, and we're going to be talking about them as well, which, you know, your head and your heart, in short. People generally sway one way, I would say, a bit more than the other. Generally, obviously, we use a blend of the two, but you're probably more one than the other. I feel like when you're in your 20s, there's a lot of crossroad moments. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of moments where you're like, okay, I feel like I need to work out if I want A or B right now, and I don't know what I'm doing. And they're the kind of moments that I'm referencing. Obviously, there's a lot of smaller decisions and stuff, but that's kind of what I'm referring to. More, okay, fuck, what do I want to do? Do I want to stay with this person? Do I want to stay in this relationship? Do I want to move away? Like, bigger things. Because like I said, I am really bad at being decisive, and if we start talking about little decisions as well, we'll be here all day, because I truly would say that is one of my biggest faults, and I'm working on it. I am working on it. I can see some progress, but I would still say it's at a point where it's still one of my biggest faults. It's not like, you know, that hasn't changed. Indecision has caused me so much stress in my life, it's insane. It has driven me, I mean, I've driven myself in circles with certain things in my life for embarrassing amounts of time, to the point where people in my life probably fucking hate me because I repeat the same things over and over, because I think myself into like a loop. And I know I'm not the only person that does that, which is why I'm kind of making this, because I have friends that do the same thing, and I look at it and I'm like, fuck, that's what I sound like. I'm kidding, I love my friends. You know, I have friends that are the same, and that we both, you know, we sit and have a conversation where we're both just driving ourselves and each other mad, because we're both at a crossroads with different things. Do you know what I mean? Like, maybe I'm sat there like, I don't know whether to leave this relationship, and my friend is sat there like, but what uni do I go to? And we're just going in like circles all evening, and then we go home and nothing's changed. No moves have been made until next time we sit down, we go out for a drink or something, and we re-enter the fucking loop. Like, there's something comforting about like verbalizing and going over, okay, well, if I did this, like, this is my concern, and if I did this, like, this, you know, it's good to talk, but at a point, are you not losing your mind? Do you know what I mean? I would say yes, because like I said, this is probably something that's caused me the most stress in my life. I think that is when it becomes an issue, is when you're going over and over and over it, whether it's verbalizing it or it's kind of a mental rumination. When it gets to that point and you're not making any moves, that's when it starts. It honestly is a horrible experience. it's very stressful, and it's kind of, you feel kind of trapped. Like, I've experienced that, where I feel kind of trapped in like a, well, I can't make any decision, I'm just gonna do nothing. Like, both are bad, both are good. I don't know, I quit. Someone else make up the mind for me. And it's not fun. Like, it's like I'm laughing about it, but I have like literally had meltdown after meltdown about this kind of shit. And that's kind of why I wanted to talk about it, because maybe someone clicked on this with a certain decision in mind that they're struggling with, and it might help them get nearer an answer. Maybe that would be useful if you're watching this. You don't have to. You can just watch this for funsies. But maybe think of something that right now in your life you could do A, you could do B, and you're not sure what you're going to do. A decision that you have that you need to make. So generally, like I said, there's two main approaches to making a decision. There is the intuitive approach, the gut feeling, the nervous system, the I can't really pinpoint what it is, but this feels correct. That kind of approach. I feel like a lot of people don't see the like merit to a gut feeling. Therefore, they wouldn't trust making a major decision based off of how it feels. You know, I think a lot of people lean towards the other approach, which is the logical approach. The, okay, I'm going to look at the facts. What's going to work more? You know, even though half the shit in life that we have to decide, there is no statistics or data. Like, do I want to be with my boyfriend? You kind of only can feel that, you know? No, like if you're talking about, I want to go to university and study law, and I have two choices, you probably should put some logic in that, because there's probably statistics that show which one would benefit you more. You know, there's certain decisions where you need one more than the other. Whereas, should I divorce my husband? You can't Google that. You cannot Google that. Although I am the type of person who Googles these things. Not that I have been married, but like if I'm in a situation where it's immensely personal and no one can tell me, I will still Google it. Like, and it doesn't help. I feel like of the two different approaches, the intuitive, the intuition, and the logic, the thinking it through, they are both useful, but I would say it depends on the decision as to which one you should lean into more, if you know what I mean. Generally, like I said, I'm someone who, I get anxious quite a lot. So, you know, it kind of makes sense that if you give me a decision, I'm gonna just freak out. I would say if your brain is wired a bit more to just the feelings and the intuition, you're probably better off a lot of the time, I think. Because your gut feelings do have merit to them. They are, as much as they seem like kind of just a vague guess, it feels like maybe it's got less merit to it. Maybe it's less valid of a method to use when making a decision. But I don't think that's true. I think how something feels to your body, you know, just how does it make you feel calm? Does it feel like it aligns with you? I think that is so important, because statistically something could make more sense, but it feels wrong. If you see what I mean, that sometimes I think you have to kind of throw logic slightly out of the window. Not out of the window, but sometimes it needs to take the back seat. Again, it depends on the decision. I'm not saying don't think things through, because a lot of the time, like, you have to. And you shouldn't go with your gut maybe blindly with a big decision. You need a blend. You do. There is a fault in ignoring your gut feeling and your intuition that is never smart to me. Like, if you're going to look at the logical side a lot and ignore how something feels to you, I think you're kind of fucked, because you could make all the right decisions and you feel like shit. You need to be paying attention to if something aligns with you, you know? Does it feel right? Like, that's so important. because it's so distressing if you're in a job that doesn't align with you, you're in a relationship that doesn't align with you, you went to a uni or something that just doesn't align with you. Maybe it's great grade wise, and maybe, you know, it will get you where you want, you know, again, then maybe is it worth feeling like, you know, for 4 years or whatever, is it worth being somewhere you don't like? You have to weigh things out, but you have to listen to yourself. Like, oh my god. But I think we can get stuck in this like loop of like yes, no, stay, go. That wasn't meant to rhyme. But getting stuck in this loop where you're doing nothing about it, and you're just hitting a point where you've thought about it so much that you've like lost perspective. Do you know what I mean? Like when you think about it kind of with fresh, I was gonna say look at it with fresh eyes, but like you're not looking at it, but you know what I mean? I think it's kind of easier to make a snap decision, like a this is what feels correct. But when you've thought about it a million times, you kind of forget your own question, and you're just like, do you know what I mean? Like you get in this little pretzel that you've thought yourself into a little pretzel, and you're just like, I have no idea what the meaning of life is anymore. Like what the fuck am I doing? Like you can truly do that. And the reason I think that sometimes we get stuck in this loop, we get stuck, you know, we're no longer making any choice, we're no longer moving towards anything, we're just staying stuck in this I don't know what the fuck I'm doing state. You know, there's so many reasons we get stuck there. That indecision, that I'm not choosing anything. I don't know whether to choose A or B. Therefore, I'm choosing nothing. And I'm just staying in this state of, I don't know. That is probably your worst bet, I would say. Generally, it doesn't matter that much which thing you pick. Just fucking pick one. That's, from my personal experience, that's what I've learned. Because I think as long as you're moving, you know, things will work out. But the moment you start to just, oh my god, I don't know, I'm just gonna, you start wasting time, you start losing time because you're not doing anything. And there is truly, in life, I don't often believe there is a right decision. I don't think there is a correct thing to do, a correct path. There's so many grey areas. It's insane. We all make decisions that we think, I probably would have picked the other one now, or don't really know how I felt about that. But like, you can't avoid that. You will, whatever you do in your life, you will always have things you wish you did differently, or things that you were glad you did, and that will remain a fact, whatever you do. So it doesn't really matter. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know. I feel like for me, something that kept me in that stuckness is I would think so much about it because I didn't ever want to make a decision that I'd regret. I never wanted to regret anything. But that isn't possible. You know, well, it kind of is, but as in like, there's always going to be things that I could look back in hindsight and think, what the fuck? Or like, I kind of wonder what would have happened if I did the other. But like, you can drive yourself mad thinking like that. I know you can. And I think for me, a big shift that I've kind of been making is, like I said before, I was so scared of regretting something, and now I think I just won't regret anything then. So what if I make a decision and then I think, oh shit, kind of like messed up with that. Okay, what can I do about that now? Nothing. Like, so it's just painful to live like that. I don't think there is a right decision with a lot of things, especially personal decisions like a relationship or something like that, where it's so personal. Like, not even your mum or your best friend or, you know, the closest person to you can tell you what to do with things like that. Advice, very useful, don't get me wrong, but it's up to you. And I think that's what freaks me out, is when things are up to me and there isn't any data or things I can like research, when it's literally just like, well, it's up to you, like, how does it feel? That's when I'm like, oh my god, there's a million options here and it's all on me, like, fuck. However, that's life. A lot of decisions are on you. But they only affect you half the time anyway, so we're all guessing. There is no, it's not like everyone else knows the answers and you're the only one guessing. No one knows. No one knows what they're doing. Some people just guess more confidently, and some people guess more timidly, but we're all guessing. And it's not like we're guessing what the right answer is. There isn't one. We're all just making a choice after a choice after a choice, and just, that's what life, do you know what I mean? That it's just a series of choices. And yes, if you made these choices, your life will be different from if you made these choices, but you can't make both anyway. So, you know, I don't know if this like is gonna be helpful to anyone else, because sometimes I feel like it's just me that gets like, you know, that needs to hear this kind of thing, but I'm sure it's not. There is a quote which I cannot remember for the life of me, that is about, okay, I'm gonna like paraphrase this quote, and it said something like, there is no right or wrong decision. Whatever decision you make, your life just adjusts around that, whatever you do. If I find the quote, I'll put it in the description, because it's a really good quote. I have it in my notes in my phone, but I'm using my phone to film this. But it's basically just this idea that whatever you do, everything just conforms around it anyway. It's not like if you make one choice, it's like, oh my god, you fucked everything up. Everything's ruined. So rarely is that the case. Generally, nothing really affects that much. Like, this sounds a bit like insane, but like, don't get me wrong, there's important things in life, but if you really fucking zoom out, nothing's that deep. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes if you are wired like me, you need to remind yourself of that. It's not that fucking deep. You could literally, people do all sorts of shit and it affects nothing. Like, I could literally right now I could sell all of my stuff, buy a plane ticket, move to another country, get a job working on a farm, and never speak to anyone again. And how many people does that even affect? Like, that's a bit depressing, but do you know what I mean? Like, it affects a handful of people I know, obviously, but like, majority of the world just wake up and carry on with their day. And I don't take that as insulting or, oh no, I'm not important. I am important. Everyone's important. But we're all just little specks, you know? You can do whatever the fuck you want. So if you're sitting at home driving yourself mad about, oh my god, should I dump her? Should I marry him? Should I go to this uni? Oh, who cares? That's actually mean. I'm not trying to be like, who cares? Because things feel big and important, and they are big and important for you, and your life is important. It's very important. You know, I'm not saying that you dug myself in a hole. You are important as fuck, but remain levity and perspective. It's beneficial to me. If it's not beneficial to you, don't use that. If it doesn't help you to zoom out and think about how we're all on a floating rock and it freaks you out, don't think about it. But for me, it keeps me kind of sane, because otherwise I would think myself into a spiral 24/7. I don't believe there is a right or wrong decision. Just make one. I think half the time it's just, there isn't a correct one. You just have to make one and keep moving. Life is about keeping moving, I feel like. And when you're not picking something, you're staying stuck and nothing's changing and you're just chucking your time away in a way. Do you know what I mean? Like, just fucking pick something and go with it, and you will be fine. You will be so fine. Things will work out as well. Like, whatever you do, things will work out. You will look back at this and not feel the same way about it that you do now. Like, your perspective will change and you'll have hindsight, and just keep moving. That would be my advice as someone who has spent considerable chunks of time like stuck in the same place because I don't know what to do ongoingly. My advice would be, the quicker you just pick something, the happier you're gonna be. Like, just fucking pick something, go there. Like, you're more miserable staying in this question mark area than you would be in either of the actual options. Does that make sense? Like, you're thinking it's gonna turn out a lot worse than it is. You're thinking, if I pick this, I'm gonna be happy, and if I pick this, I'm gonna be miserable. You'll be fine in both. I can guarantee that to you. I can almost guarantee that to you. I am not a fortune teller. I can't guarantee anything. But you'll be fine. You will be. I think often a reason we get stuck in that place is anxiety. If you're someone who suffers with anxiety, like I do, that obviously is going to play a role because it makes you spiral anyway. So give me a big decision and I will have, you know, a field day with that. A lack of self-trust. That is a lot of the time why you're not making a choice. Why I haven't been making choices in my past is I don't have enough confidence in myself to do it. I don't have enough confidence in the fact that something feels right to me. When, you know, I felt like even if I knew in my gut, which, you know, you always do, what would feel right to me, I would still ask everyone and their mother for their opinion because I didn't trust myself. I didn't trust my gut enough. I needed everyone else to back it up or validate it. And if someone went against it, you know, if I was like, in my gut, I need to go to this school, I don't know, that's never been a problem for me, but you know, and then I spoke to someone, they were like, no, I think that'll go wrong for you. I would lose my mind. I'd be like, oh my God, what was I thinking? They could be wrong. They probably are. If I think do you know what I mean? Like, that is something I've definitely gotten better at now, is I don't really care if someone else's opinion opposes mine when it's a personal decision, because I'm like, you don't fucking know anyway. Like, that, you know, I can see some progress because that doesn't keep me up at night anymore. Because I question people's life choices all the time. Like, I'm always like, why is she with him? Why are they doing that? But like, I'm not them. It'll work out for them anyway, whatever. It's not that deep, you know? So I just feel like it's the same when people, if someone looked at me and thought, what the fuck is she doing? I don't know. I don't know either, so who cares, you know? But self-trust is huge, and I think a way to gain self-trust, unfortunately, the only way I found is to make the scary decisions. And you can start with little ones. That's, you know, that's a good baby steps, making little decisions and just trusting yourself with those. Maybe you need to work your way up. But it's kind of like I don't trust my gut. I feel like other people know better. But we're all equal here. We're all equally as smart and dumb as each other. I mean, you know, not in some ways, but in terms of making a decision, following our gut, knowing what to do in this life, like, we're all fucking... Your mum and your friend and your friend's dad, they don't know what they're doing either. So like, don't take other people's opinions too seriously. Don't take it with too much weight. I've also learned the more that you ask everyone for their thoughts on what they would do, the worse your self-trust is going to be. Because every time you ask someone else, what do I do? Help, what should I do? You're kind of just insulting yourself a little bit. Like, don't get me wrong. Ask people for advice. And I always ask people, like, what would you do? But I don't ask the whole town anymore. I ask my closest people, you know, my mum, a couple of friends. That's about it. Because when you start asking absolutely everyone, you're kind of telling yourself you aren't capable of making that decision yourself. And that harms your self-trust. And it's also not true, because you are more than capable of making a decision yourself, following it through and being fine. You are so capable of just doing that. So you don't need to ask everyone. Like, you think it's comforting and you think it's going to help, but it's not helping you, in my opinion. It's not helping you. It's making you feel more confused. And I think as well, it creates a noise. It makes everything noisy in your head. It's no longer the quiet of me and myself making this decision, me and my gut feelings, what do we think? It's now you've got about 50 people in your head all screaming at you their thoughts. And that isn't helpful. You don't need that noise, and you can't hear your intuition and your gut feelings. When you're surrounded by noise, you need quiet. You need calm to tune into yourself, you know? I would say that is a big part of listening to your gut and tuning into your intuition. Is like, you need peace, you need quiet. Quite often, if I have a big decision to make, sorry, that's like, I can just see people behind me and it's distracting me. Yeah, quite often if I have a big decision to make, I kind of step back from people and I get all internalized. And obviously that's fucked me in the past, but I do it differently now. Now I'm not like, you know, internalizing so that I can overthink it a million times. I'm just quieting my surroundings, and then I can feel the answers, you know? That's so helpful. Self-trust is huge. Like, you need to trust that you're on this is gonna sound cringe as fuck, but you're on this journey with yourself. Everyone else, your friends, your boyfriend, your mum, we love them, but they aren't you, and they aren't gonna suffer the consequences or reap the benefits of choices you make. You know, once you're an adult, it's on you, and it's just between you, and that's why you've got to work on your relationship with yourself and have a trust there, and trust that even if you make a decision, this is huge, even if you make a decision that you end up thinking, I would have gone the other way now in hindsight, trust that you'll still be fine. Whatever decision you make, whether it felt right or wrong, or it goes great or it goes horribly, you'll be fine. That, I think, is at the core of trusting yourself. It's trusting that no matter what shitty situation you're in, no matter what place, no matter what happens or what goes right or wrong, you've got your own back, and you have gotten yourself out of shit a million times, and you need to start taking that seriously. Like, you need to give yourself credit for that. Because, sorry, this is getting really like motivational speaker. It's because I'm talking to myself here. Like, that's why I'm getting so passionate, because I'm like, I'm really talking to myself here. But when have you ever been in a shitty situation and not gotten out of it? Never. Like, just you have all the reasons to trust yourself. You're just being scared. But you can do these big things. Like, just, you need to work on your self-trust. That is my advice if you're someone who finds yourself in a bit of a pickle quite often, when you're like, oh my god, what do I do? Stop asking people and shush and ask yourself. If you spend too long in your head or too long asking other people, you're complicating the issue that you even have, like the issue at hand. Maybe it started as a small issue, you're just giving it more and more layers of issue, to the point where it's going to be a lot more effort to sort it out once you've done all that, when the issue could have been sorted ages ago. But you've asked everyone. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're making it worse. You're fucking yourself over by doing that, in my opinion. Because a downside to the logical approach, you know, I wouldn't even call that logical. I'd call that insane. You know, a con to the making decisions too much in your head and not enough in your body is that your brain scans and wallows and ruminates, and that's kind of how it's built. It's built to think. Do you know, like, oh my god, that was the stupidest sentence I've ever said. But like, it's not very good at reaching a conclusion. It will just go round and round and round and round and round, and you have to get into your body sometimes, because, like I said, some people think your gut feeling and your intuition is bullshit, and it's just like, what's it based off of? Where are you getting these answers from? Like, you can't use that because there's no explanation behind it. But there is. Your nervous system and your intuition are using information. Your gut feeling isn't just a random feeling. It's the information that you have gathered from your life and your experiences, and how you felt in the things that you've forgotten, things that are so deep in your brain that you don't even know are there, but things that have happened to you, choices that you've made, how people have made you feel, where you felt safe, when you have felt unsafe, you know, the physical, you know, your traumas, everything, it's all stored in your body, and your gut feeling isn't bullshit. That's why it's generally correct, is because it knows shit that you can't remember. Like, pay attention to it, because it gut feelings, like, they're known for being right. They're known for being right. So it does save you a lot of time to listen to it, because how many times have you wished you did? You know? How many times have you been too scared or not trusted your gut feeling, and then in a year you're like, fuck, I knew this would happen a year ago but I didn't listen to it, and now I'm suffering because I didn't take myself serious. I didn't have the self-trust. It's all in self-trust, I think, decision making, if you couldn't tell. I think, you know, slowing down and quieting the noise is so important. Like I said, like, you can't be making decisions when you're in a chaotic, emotionally messy state. Like, I find I make the best, for me, I know, if I'm like, okay, I don't know how to make a decision on this, I make sure that I'm in a good place when I'm making the decision. Because if you're in a bad place, you'll have a different idea of what's a good decision. If you're tired and sad and emotionally a mess, my hair is a mess, speaking of a mess, like, that's pissing me off. Your brain works differently. It will want different things. It will be craving different things. Whereas if you're in your happiest state, you know, your good habits, you're in a healthy place, you're sleeping well, you're eating well, you're gonna make a healthier choice that will often be better for you. So that's also a piece of advice I'd have, is if you don't know what to do with something, look after yourself. Give yourself like a week. You don't have to instantly make a decision with things. Generally, give yourself some time, not a year a week, depends on the decision, but like a set amount of time, and get your shit together. Get your ducks in a row. Sleep properly. Stop staying up. Stop spending all your time on social media. Look at who's in your life. Sort your shit out. And when you're in a healthier place, things come to you a lot easier, because you're so in tune and you're so aware of, okay, I feel good, and my decisions are now based off of feeling good. It's not like you're just tired and you feel like shit and you're picking the easiest option, and, you know, you don't really, you know, you're not going to be making smart decisions in that mindset. And for me, when I'm making a decision, if it feels aligned with me, it feels right to me, it feels light. I feel excited, I feel open, it feels expansive. I don't know if this, like, you either know what I mean or you don't. We've all had gut feelings though, so you probably can think of a time where, like, it feels like an open door. It feels just like, this feels right. Whereas when something isn't, you feel a little bit claustrophobic in the choice. I've found it can make me feel a little bit shrunk, a little bit, it's not living out all these, it's not really, it feels too small and cramped and shit. There's like a unrelaxingness to doing something that doesn't align with you. You feel just like you're in the wrong place, like, this is not where I'm meant to be. You feel like you've walked into the wrong class and you're like, fuck, this is not my classroom. Like, it feels like that, where you're like, you can't settle on that choice. It's not settling. Whereas when it's like, right, it just has this, like, you don't need to question it. You don't need to make a case for, you know, quite often if you're doing something that doesn't really align with you, you know, when someone's like dating someone that they probably shouldn't be, they've got this pack of reasons why, but they do this and they did this and and this is why I'm with it. And it's like, you've got a million reasons. It sounds like you're trying to convince yourself. You know, if something is right, you don't need a million, it just feels right, and that's that. Like, You don't need to make a case for it so heavily because it's right. I saw a quote the other day on Pinterest that said, like, life is boring, so take a risk. And, like, that's kind of a cringe quote. But I was thinking about it and I was like, it's very true. Life is often a lot of doing the same stuff over and over again. That's just how it has to be. You know, it's a lot of doing this and then this and being in the rhythm of your life. And quite often there's an opportunity to take a risk or do something that's a bit out of your comfort zone, but you kind of really want to fucking do it. And I think about that quote, life's boring, take the risk. Life isn't boring. I love life, and I'm not trying to say that in a pessimistic way by any means, but it's like your life is boring if you let it be boring, you know? It doesn't have to be. And I think if the reason that you're not making a decision is because you're scared and because you want to do it, but it's like, oh, it's out of your comfort zone and you don't know how it will go and you've never done it before, of course it feels scary. You've never done it before. Therefore, you don't know how. Yeah, it would be scary, but that does not mean you can't do it and you shouldn't do it. I think usually you should. Because honestly, half the time I vote for, maybe it's scary, maybe it'll go wrong. You'll gain a lot of life experience. You'll have an interesting story when you're like 85 and you did that. I don't care if it goes wrong, you'll still have a good story out of it. And like, I want an exciting life. I want an interesting life. I want to say I've lived. And you can't do that if you're not if you're just staying like, I don't know what to do, oh my god, fuck off. Do you know what I mean? Your life will be fairly boring if you stay in that state. You're not doing anything, you're not making any choices, you're not moving. Oh, I spent my 20s sat on my bed not doing anything. I didn't go to the uni I wanted. I didn't think I'd get in, so I didn't reply. I stayed with this guy I didn't really like because I was kind of too scared to leave, and I wanted to travel, but I didn't want to go on my own and my friends didn't want it. Just fucking do it. Live the life you want. Like, you have to do the shit that scares you sometimes in order to get the life that you want. That is my motivational speech for today. I am gonna shut the fuck up because I could truly talk about this for so long because it is so relevant to me and it has been so relevant to me for so long. But I would say generally trust yourself, work on trusting yourself, do some research into self-trust if you don't know where to start. I gave you some ideas, but you know, you might want some more. And sometimes taking the leap is what you need. Also, something that I quite often use. Sorry, that car is really loud. Oh, they're leaving. Yay. Oh, I do not like a car that sounds like that. Anyway, quite often I think what is helpful is, you know, when people say to you, you know what you need to do. I fucking hate when people say that to me. But does it not tell you what you need to do? Like whenever I've had a decision to make and someone says to me, you know what you need to do. Yeah, I do. I'm just scared. Like, it feels kind of like patronizing, but like that is really helpful to me because you do know what you need to do. You do know, your gut knows. You're just overthinking it. You're stressing yourself out. You're making it deeper than it is. You do know what you need to do. And quite often someone saying that to me is what makes me think, fuck, you're right. So I'm gonna say it to you. You know what you need to do. Go fucking do it. You'll be fine. I have faith in you. You need to have faith in you. Nothing's that deep. You're not gonna die if you dump your boyfriend or you go to a uni. You can drop out. Nothing in life is that, you know, most things in life are reversible. Here's another quote for you. Oh my god, I'm full of quotes. This one's quite aggressive, but it's useful. Nothing is irreversible except death. Is that the quote? Nothing is irreversible except death. Yes. That is something that I heard. Chris Clemens said that. I love Chris Clemens so much. I love him. Like, he said that in a podcast once and I was like, that helped, that soothed me, because I'm just chucking quotes at you. If you're someone who's wired like me, I hope these might soothe you too, because if you don't need to hear them and this doesn't resonate with you, it doesn't resonate with you. Consider yourself lucky. But for the people who it does, you know, this is why I'm talking about it. Nothing is irreversible except death. For some reason, that's very comforting to me. Nothing, you know, it's not like you make a decision and you're fucked and there's no return. You're done. You picked it and oh my god, what a mistake you have made. Everyone's gonna hate you. You're alone forever. Nothing's that, you know, you can always go back on most, you can usually go back on most things or try to fix most things. It's fine. But don't be making decisions thinking, it's fine, I can go back if like, you're being scared if you're thinking like that. Okay, I'm gonna go because I'm not shutting up and like, I need to. But I love you and I have lots of faith in you and you'll work it out. You know what you need to do, don't you? You know what you need to do. I will talk to you next week. Bye.